Hey, I'm going to say this because sometime soon I'm going to close down my threads on homosexuality. Maybe I'll pick it up soon, but I have some work to do, and I got to make some money. I got some projects coming, and so I can't sit here, all the time, going over the same things. And a lot of people are asking the same things without actually looking through the thread and see how the questions were already asked, already answered, and even already argued. Okay, so it's not going to help to keep asking the same question, answering the same question every time somebody new comes along and just want to argue. And the problem with that is that a lot of you just want to argue and not really come up with some resolve. And that's stupid. I don't do that. I don't have time like that to waste. My point in this is presenting my half of the story, my truth, and also debunking a lot of the just straight-faced, barren lies that a lot of people tell. And so I actually got to the point where I start presenting certain truth, and then people just don't really care. They just want it because they want it. They just don't have any they just want what they want. They don't really care about the consequences. And a lot of people, I don't know how to live life without thinking about the consequences. Okay, like certain things, like even if you're doing wrong, it's like, okay, I'm not going to do that wrong. I'm not going to go that far with it, or I'll try to stop before it goes this far. A lot of people have certain, you put limitations on everything. Everything has a limitation, especially sex. You cannot have sex with anybody you want. I mean, you cannot have sex as much as you want. You have to have moderation. You have to have a limitation on even sex. Everything has it. You have to do it with alcohol, drinking. You have to do it with everything. Sun. Everything has its limitation. Everything, everything. Everything is good and fun. I mean, I even limit how good sex is. how good I'll have sex with lunch. I'm just joking. Anyway, my point is spending money is great, but you have to put a limitation on it. Everything. A great artist I know once told me, moderation is the key. But it's hard to moderate stuff. I'm not perfect. I got faults too. I look at porn, but I have to put limits on what kind of porn I look at. And I'll be honest with you. I've had guys say to me in some of these discussions that he says, I have to agree with you, Alonzo, that if I hadn't have been curious, just wondering what it was, if I hadn't have looked at gay porn, then I wouldn't be homosexual. This is what he told me, that I would not be homosexual, at least not to the degree that I am now after looking at stuff. Some things is like crack. You just do it once and you don't get a chance to moderate, because the spirit of that stuff will jump on you, or the addiction of that stuff will jump on you. So that's my point, is like, this guy willingly admitted. And to say, we're arguing the same points. To say that homosexuality is just love, that's a big, heterosexuality is not just love. So my point is debunking that. And when somebody gets on a page, and I have to say over and over again, and they said the same things, everybody ever, my first point was just debunking straight lies. The one guy just got on my page, Bobby Sutton, I don't know, probably a young kid, sounds like it, heterosexual Sex between a man and a woman is just the same as sex between two men or two women. Now, that's not technologically true. You know, love making, if that's what you want to call it, because we are talking about the actual act of sex, which is love making. That's an activity. That's heterosexuality as opposed to homosexuality. They're not equal. Sex between a man and a woman produces a baby, a child. It produces life. Now, unless you are seeing imaginary babies coming out of two men, or somehow a man gets pregnant, you know, it's not true. So my first point is the true logistics of it is logistically you are asking for provisions for a sexual lifestyle that just has no reason for provisions, you know, other than, you know, a will owning somebody's money, you know, and that's not love. That's wanting their money. So with marriage, there's an institution of, you know, nations get built out of marriage, and that's why I think that they want to control it. You know, like some people, you know, don't want, you know, if you have enough Alonzo, and if I had some kind of wife or girlfriend or whatever, you know, we could develop a nation. You know, that's competition for other nations. Not everybody wants that competition. You know, if you live us alone enough, we create a whole nation. Then they got to split out, spread apart. And, you know, people that want power want to stay in power, and they want to control you with RFID. You know, and this, you know, I'm for, you know, helping citizens, but, you know, the way to control people is to control their health. And so I'm very concerned about it. I haven't really looked at what Obama is doing, but I know Hillary was about that. So I precaution you. You know, she's still there. And so I don't know if she's pulling Obama strings or not. I figure she did. That's why she's even in office. But anyway, that's besides the point. My point is that I'm going to have some work coming up soon. So I'm going to disable all the discussion is there. The obvious truth. You know, there's a parable in the Bible, and I will go back to that parable because I first started there. There was a man who owned a garden, and he had a worker, and a worker took care of all the trees there, okay? And so there was one tree there that would not produce fruit, and it sucked up all the resources. Now, and even the shade, it had this big, beautiful shade and canopy, and it even kept the light from going on to the other trees, and the labor and all those stuff. So it sucked up the resources. So to get benefits when you don't produce life, you know, homosexuality does not produce life. So to give benefits to a marriage that will never, the whole genre of homosexuality, if you're going to sanction yourself, quarantine or partition yourself into a group, that whole group, if you're going to make up special names for heterosexuals based on their sexual activity, homosexuality, which is the only difference between the two, is the sexual activity. If you're going to start doing it, that group does not produce life, and it does not logistically warrant. It will have to suck the resources from the other trees that bear fruit. Meaning it will have to start taking adoption. And when we look at CPS, and CPS sucks, who said, you know, a CPS actually kidnaps and the crack whole cocaine, instead of helping the parents get off crack. You know, there's true addictions, you know, not choice, because you have, even heteros have choice. I have a choice. I have a choice of how much sex I have, who I have it with, and how good they get it. And I do put certain people's on partition. You only gonna get this much. I want you, Chase, to be around. Joking again, but anyway. But my point is is that, when then when they have to you sanction marriage, you will have the biggest onslaught of taking heterosexuals' baby. They say CPS is actually Child Protective Services is actually stealing kids. Instead of trying to get you off drugs and just give it to a homosexual because they paying. That's why that even happened in the first place. And I think homosexual adoption is illegal. Because it just totally ruins the system. They're not gonna try to keep families together. And this Father's Day, Homer Simpson, El Bundy, that's when the respect of fatherhood went down the drain. When the father became a laughing stock. And no respect given to them. I never watched those shows. Anyway. God bless you all. I love you all. Sorry, I'm not going to keep this going for much longer. So, if you want to repeat the same things, the same questions, you're not coming up with anything new. And don't tell no stupid lies, okay? And because I started calling gays liars. And I don't want to say, y'all call Christians bigots and anybody who, you atheists that don't believe in God and will use homosexuals because they don't, Christians are the only standard. Else you have no boundaries. Else you have no limitations. Else you have no understanding of consequences. That's what AIDS and all that stuff is. Consequences. They exist whether we adhere to them or not. So there's consequences if our government and our state law start providing this just from a technological reason. You could leave out Christianity. It just still don't make sense. There's no resource. They never create life. Why would they get married? It's just sex. And if you say you can't be happy just having sex, you got to have this marriage and stuff like that, or you got to have the other person's money, or a will isn't good enough, then there's something wrong with your relationship. You ain't never going to be happy. And that's why I say gay is just a bad word. Gay don't mean glee. Gay don't mean happy. Actually it means showy and prideful. That's what it means. That's all it means. God bless you all. Prideful as in stubborn. And that's why, because anybody that would tell God he's wrong, oh, God. That's the problem. That's why it's called an abomination. Only because of that reason, because of the pride, not the sex. Don't nobody care about that. Anyway, it's not even real sex in the first place. Anyway, God bless you all.